Jungkook's most honest moment revealed. Jimin was surprised and fans were touched. Flush face revolving hearts, no one is really ready when the most honest moment in the life of a world idol is suddenly revealed in front of the camera, especially if it comes from Jungkook, a figure who is known to be disciplined, secretive in some ways, and never easily reveals his innermost feelings. But that day, either because of the heartwarming atmosphere, the physical and mental state that had long been tired, or because of the many things he had hidden, Jungkook finally said something that made Jimin speechless. Not only that, the words also made fans around the world feel an emotional blow they never imagined. The moment happened so quickly, but the effect is still felt today. Jungkook sat down with a calm expression, but his gaze couldn't hide something, a long struggle that wanted to come out to the surface. Camera highlights capture every second of it. The initially light atmosphere turned to silence as he began to speak in a slightly quivering voice. Jimin, who was sitting next to him, initially seemed to be just paying attention. He did not expect that the sentence that came out a few seconds later would make him silent for quite a long time, as if time had stopped. And the army? They're glued. Within minutes of the moment being uploaded, the social media platform exploded. Keywords related to them instantly rose to become global trending. No one expected Jungkook to be so honest. The day began ordinary. Jungkook had just finished a fairly solid activity and Jimin had accompanied him backstage, talking casually while waiting for the next session. Both looked comfortable, as always, two figures who have known each other since adolescence and grew up together, going through difficult times, happy times and times that they did not always want to tell the world about. But one thing the fans noticed, lately, Jungkook seems to be harboring more. Although he kept smiling, kept joking, and kept working hard as always, there was occasionally a certain body language that was captured on camera. Something that is usually only seen by those closest to him. One of them, of course, Jimin. When that interview session began, no one thought the atmosphere would turn so emotional. Journalists' questions are actually simple, revolving around the exhausting year, how they deal with pressure, and what is the thing that makes them survive the most. A common question, but Jungkook's answer is anything but ordinary. He stared at the table for a moment, took a deep breath, then said, "I think this is the first time I've really felt exhausted, not only physically, but also inside. And I don't know how to say it without sounding weak." Journalists were silent. Jimin looked at Jungkook with slightly enlarged eyes. "It's something I rarely hear in front of the camera, but that's just the beginning." In an increasingly stable yet emotional voice, Jungkook continued, "I've been wanting to say for a long time that I'm not always as strong as people see me to be. There were days when I felt completely empty. But there is still one person who always pulls me back. Someone I trust more than anyone." The staff held their breath. Jimin didn't blink. Jungkook mentioned something that made the room feel warmer and stifling at the same time. "I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for you." If it weren't for him always saying, "You're not alone." Even when I didn't reply to his messages, even when I was missing for a few days, he was still looking for me. When the sentence came out, Jimin spontaneously lowered his head. Look at his glassy eyes. Fans who watched the footage later said they could clearly see how her expression changed, from shocked to emotional, to something hard to describe, pride and emotion mixed together. The journalist who was holding the microphone even bit his lip, restraining his own emotions. Because this kind of honesty rarely comes from someone at Jungkook's level, someone who usually chooses not to tell the world what he really feels. After the recording was finished, many thought Jimin would immediately speak or respond. But the opposite is true. Jimin just looked at Jungkook with a soft expression that fans hardly ever see in a formal setting. Jungkook, who is usually full of confidence, looks a little awkward but relieved. There was a small smile that appeared on his lips, as if he had just unloaded tons of weight from his shoulders. Shortly after, when the camera was turned off and the atmosphere was a little more relaxed, Jimin finally spoke softly but sincerely. "You don't have to deal with everything by yourself, Jungkook. You know that, right?" Jungkook nodded, without words. His hand moved as if to grab something, but he stopped it in the air. Jimin patted her gently on the shoulder, telling her silently that he was there, that he was always there. The moment was not captured on camera, but several staff who were at the scene told the media about the quiet but meaningful atmosphere. Fans were even more moved when they heard this follow-up story, as it illustrates how deep the two members' relationship is, a relationship that cannot be reduced to just a label of casual friendship. The reaction of the fans was very emotional. Many said that they had long felt that there was something in Jungkook that he had hidden. ADA Army wrote, "He always tried to be strong for all of us, but forgot that he was also a human being who needed a place to lean on." There are also those who highlight how Jimin has always been sensitive to Jungkook's condition, even before Jungkook himself realized it. They described Jimin as a person with natural warmth, someone who could make anyone feel safe just by listening. Some fans wrote lengthy analyses of how all the activities, pressures, and expectations of the world might have had a big impact on Jungkook. They feel this moment is like a reminder that their idols are not robots, and that honesty is something to be appreciated, not mistaken for weakness. But it wasn't just the fans who were touched. Psychology experts invited to one of the Korean talk shows discussed the moment as an important example of how the emotional health of a public figure should not be ignored. They called Jungkook's courage to speak honestly a big step towards a healthier mental awareness among South Korean artists. After that emotional moment, Jungkook and Jimin were seen walking together leaving the interview area. Some staff said the two chatted in a lighter tone, even laughing softly. Jungkook looked more relieved, as if that honesty opened up a new space within him. Outside the building, fans had already gathered with raised banners of support. When Jungkook and Jimin appeared, restrained cheers broke out. But what surprised many people was how Jungkook did not immediately look down as usual. Instead, he looked at the fans and smiled sincerely, a smile that felt very different, as if full of deeper gratitude. Jimin stood beside her, looking at Jungkook for a while before smiling as well. There was a wordless communication between them. Maybe an understanding, maybe a tacit promise that they will always take care of each other. When the moment was finally officially uploaded by the media, the digital world immediately exploded. Over 30 million views in 24 hours, thousands of threads, hundreds of thousands of comments, and millions of people who rewatch over and over again just to re-experience that honesty. On another platform, ARMY created a video compilation of Jimin and Jungkook's old moments, showing how their relationship has evolved from two shy teenagers to two grown men who protect each other in the most sincere way. The comment, "This is not just an ordinary friendship," became one of the most liked. But there is one thing that makes this moment even more memorable. Not only because Jungkook was finally honest with the world, but because he chose to be honest at the most unexpected moment, when he could have hidden everything, as he had often done over the years. And the reaction? Jimin received her in the warmest, most natural, and most sincere way. Maybe that's why the fans are so excited, because this moment is not about dramatization, it is not about seeking attention. It's about someone who finally lets the world see the little cracks in him, cracks that don't make him weak, but instead show that he's a human being who's growing, who's feeling, and who needs someone by his side.